All right, hello everyone. This is going to be a reading of a blog on Jack Wallen's blog. This was published a few days ago. If you are watching this recorded later on another platform, I did this on Periscope, so I may be responding to people you can't see, which may make me look crazy, and that's also why it's upright in their format. But I've started doing these in Periscope so that they can be up live and up for 24 hours before they go on to the other platforms that we promote the stuff on. This blog is about the guy who introduced me to zombies. Jack Wallen was actually the guest host that posted my blog. Jack is an excellent writer in general, but also specifically of zombies. If you're looking for anything that has zombies but also is a bit cerebral with the action, Jack's a good writer. I recommend for a starter going to iZombie, which is one of his books. It's not related to the television show iZombie, but it's a good one to start off, and I think once you get hooked on that, you'll probably want to look at the other ones in his series. It's a little bit of a cloudy day outside the writing hut, but still a nice, warm, humid day in the swamps of South Carolina. To be reading this again, the main purpose is to use it towards another platform where we'll be sharing some of the content here. But again, I'll take questions if we end up with some viewers here. Again, this is a tribute to the guy that introduced me to zombies. I've been into apocalyptic literature since I was reading sci-fi and fantasy in late elementary and early middle school. The Stand became my favorite book pretty quickly after discovering Stephen King. The zombie did not really enter my consciousness until I was in college. I knew about the Romero movies and I knew about Return of the Dead series, but these were not forefront in my consciousness as a genre. Dawn of the Dead and Day of the Dead were described to me before I actually watched them. A friend of mine in college and I were hanging out in his room one weekend when most people had gone home. Somehow we got onto the subject that the idea of a zombie disturbed him the most of all types of monsters. He gave me nearly a scene-for-scene description of both movies. I was fascinated and encouraged him to keep talking until he had told both all the way through. His descriptions were vivid and captured a subtext that hooked me from a story perspective before I ever connected with these movies visually. I rented both movies on VHS one weekend. That kind of tells you how long ago it was. And watched them with the description underscored in my mind the entire experience for me. I may write zombie stories now in large part due to his tellings of the stories. Jason was a complicated spirit. He was working as a music minister at a local church in a town where we went to college, as he studied as a music major. We had friends in common, and that's why our friendship started. Later, we became friends in our own accord. We lived together one summer between school years as we stayed in town and worked to earn up money for the following year. That was the summer I read The Shining for the first time. I worked the 4 a.m. shift at Walmart too. There's a lot of good stories there, good times. Jason, myself, and 2 other friends that summer took a trip up the East Coast at the beginning of that summer. We went to Richmond, Baltimore, Boston, New York, Washington, D.C., and Maine. While in Maine, we stopped by Stephen King's old house, the one with the spooky gate. We have pictures from there and other points of the trip. One of the other guys on that trip is the actor that ended up playing Bobby Eagleton in the film adaptation of Stephen King's The Mist later on. Jason had his secrets that summer. He did not always want to tell me where he was going or what he was doing. He started distancing himself from our mutual friends. He seemed to find himself in troubling situations which did not have a logical reason for how he ended up there. I would find out later that he was gay and was keeping that from a number of people in his life, myself included. I felt bad that he did not feel comfortable telling me. I think some of what he dealt with alone might have been easier if he had someone he trusted in that space I occupied in his life at that point. It wasn't my business, and he did not owe it to me, but I feel bad that he was that much more isolated for having to keep boundaries with me. We had mutual friends who were gay and out, to which wasn't the easiest life at a Southern Baptist college. He did not choose to open that part of his life up to the public at that time. I regret that distance, whether there was anything to be done about it or not. I include a number of gay characters in my fiction of all genres that I write. Sometimes the subject is in the forefront, other times it occupies a different space in the story. My current series, The Dead Song Legend, features gay characters as the main character roles. Like Jason and every other person I know well, gay or straight, the characters are complex and are made up of a combination of many attributes, including some that are in conflict. Identity is what we present to the world, but it is also those parts of us we hide as well. The more I look back on Jason's life as I knew it, the more I see him in the Dead Song story, but also in my entire zombie writing career. He was the first one to tell me a zombie story, even if it wasn't his own. He showed me what there was to fear, respect, and enjoy in the genre. The zombie story became the story that belonged to both of us in that sense. Jason died of cancer. His birthday pops up on Facebook every year and makes me sad, but I don't want to unfriend or lose those pictures or posts. In his last years, he experienced life on his own terms, choosing to enjoy the things there were to taste in the world. He went out the best that anyone could in that sort of wind down of life. There are a lot of pieces of him scattered throughout my writing. As I reread Book 1 of the Dead Song Legend, I see more and more of him in it. I expect I'll be spending more time with Jason as the series unfolds. Again, that's a guest post on Jack Wallen's blog entitled The Guy Who Introduced Me to Zombies. Thank you for listening in.